Something breaks inside Heartland long before anyone says a word. A secret finally rises to the surface, a returning face stirs old wounds, and a single decision pushes the family toward an ending no one is ready for. Episode 10 doesn't explode with action. It quietly unravels. Everything the characters have been holding inside. And as emotions spill across the ranch like a storm, one painful question takes over the entire episode. When the truth finally arrives, will the family stand together or fall apart for good? The episode begins with a strange heaviness spreading across Heartland, the kind that settles into the air before anyone realizes something has shifted. Amy wakes before dawn, feeling a tension she can't explain. The horses sense it too, restless, alert, moving in ways that mirror the unease tightening inside her chest. She tries to shake it off, focusing on her morning routine, but the weight of an unanswered message lingers like a shadow she cannot escape. It came late the night before, just a few words that reopened a door she had spent months trying to close. Now, as the sun climbs slowly over the ranch, Amy knows the moment she feared is getting closer. Jack notices her silence, the way she moves slower than usual, the forced calm in her voice. He doesn't ask what's wrong. He doesn't need to. His years at Heartland have taught him to read emotions long before they're spoken. He senses an emotional storm gathering around Amy, one she doesn't feel ready to face. Still, he stays close, offering his quiet strength without pressing for answers. To Jack, timing matters. Sometimes the heart only opens when it feels safe. Across the ranch, Lou is dealing with her own turmoil. She found an old letter yesterday, one she hid from everyone, including herself. Now it sits in her pocket, heavy as guilt. Every time she tries to focus on work, the memory of what she hasn't confessed pulls her attention away. She wants to talk to Amy, to break the quiet distance that has grown between them. But the ranch feels different today. Too fragile, too emotional to force honesty. Lou tells herself she will find the right moment, even though she knows that waiting only makes things harder. Katie moves through the house quietly, watching the adults with growing confusion. She feels the shift in the air, the tension that passes from room to room. She hears half conversations, sees worried glances, and senses things no one explains to her. Katie may be young, but she knows when something big is coming. She just doesn't know whether it's something she should fear. Tim, on the other hand, refuses to play along with the silence. He senses the tension and immediately demands answers from everyone, but each attempt only creates more friction. His frustration rises quickly. He hates secrets, hates uncertainty. Yet every time he speaks, the family grows quieter, as if protecting truths they aren't ready to share. Tim means well, but his bluntness only sharpens the edges of a day already too heavy. By midday, Amy reaches the point she can't avoid any longer. She stands alone near the barn, replaying the message over and over. The name attached to it still sends a painful jolt through her chest. She knows that opening this chapter again will change everything. Her peace, her family, her sense of safety. But ignoring it won't fix anything either. The silence inside her heart has turned into a battle she can no longer ignore. As the wind shifts and clouds begin to gather, Amy finally admits the truth to herself. This episode isn't just about someone returning. It's about whether she's strong enough to face what their return brings. And even though she's terrified, she knows the first step must come from her. She takes a deep breath, her fingers trembling as she picks up her phone. The ranch is quiet around her, but her heartbeat feels loud enough to shake the ground. She whispers the same word she's been avoiding for weeks. Forgiveness, without knowing whether she truly believes it. The choice she is about to make will set everything in motion. And Heartland, for the first time in a long while, feels like it's standing at the edge of something life-changing. The tension that Amy carries begins to ripple through the ranch, touching everyone in ways they don't fully understand. By afternoon, the air feels heavier, as if Heartland itself is waiting for something to break open. Amy tries to keep herself busy, hoping work will silence the noise inside her mind. But every task feels harder, every moment interrupted by the same thought. What happens when he shows up again? The message she received still sits in her pocket, like a spark ready to ignite everything she has rebuilt. Jack finds her near the round pen, her hands resting on the gate as if grounding herself. He gently asks if she's all right, but Amy simply forces a smile, avoiding the truth that trembles behind her quiet eyes. Jack doesn't push. He knows she's holding something painful, something that scares her enough to hide it, and rushing her could make her retreat even deeper. His silent understanding is a comfort, yet it also makes Amy feel the weight of what she must reveal sooner or later. Inside the house, Lou struggles to keep her own emotions steady. She watches Amy from a distance, recognizing the same tightness she's been fighting herself. The letter she found has awakened memories she thought were buried forever, memories of choices she made, mistakes she regrets, and truths she never had the courage to say out loud. Lou knows that if Amy is dealing with something this big, she should step up and support her. But how can she offer comfort when she herself is hiding pieces of her heart from the people she loves? Every small interaction becomes a quiet battlefield. When Amy and Lou cross paths in the kitchen, they both try to act normal, but their eyes give them away. Lou wants to reach out. Amy wants to speak, yet neither finds the words. The silence between them grows not out of anger, but fear. Fear that honesty will change the things they depend on. Meanwhile, Katie becomes the quiet observer of the day. She notices her mother's shaking hands, the distant look in Amy's eyes, the way Jack watches everyone with a protective gaze. She feels the storm building even if she doesn't know its name. When she tries to ask what's wrong, she gets soft reassurances that only confuse her more. Katie senses that whatever is happening is too big for the adults to hide much longer. Tim, restless and frustrated, bursts into the house demanding to know what secrets everyone is keeping. His impatience creates another crack in the already fragile air. He insists that problems don't go away by staying quiet, but his harsh tone only pushes Amy further into herself. Jack steps in before an argument erupts, reminding Tim that force never fixes anything. Still, the damage is done. Amy feels cornered, and her fear tightens around her like a vice. As the day stretches on, Amy begins to feel the emotional walls closing in. She walks toward the edge of the property, seeking space to breathe, but even the open fields seem smaller than usual. Her thoughts race with questions she cannot answer. What if his return brings back the pain she barely survived? What if facing him means reopening wounds that never fully healed? And worst of all, what if this time she isn't strong enough? Just as she begins to gather herself, her phone buzzes again. Another message. Another reminder that the moment she fears is no longer a distant possibility. It's coming, and it's coming fast. Her hands tremble as she reads it, and her heart sinks. The message is short, but it confirms what she feared all along. He isn't just asking to talk. He's already on his way. A cold rush fills her chest as reality settles in. Everything she tried to hide, everything she kept buried deep inside, is now standing at the doorstep of her life. Heartland is about to enter a moment that could either heal old scars or tear open a chapter far more painful than anyone is ready for. The moment Amy feared finally starts to take shape as the ranch grows quieter, almost as if the land itself senses the emotional tremor approaching. She stands near the porch, trying to steady her breathing, but the worry in her chest feels heavier with every passing second. The message repeating in her mind, "I'm coming to talk," echoes louder than the wind rolling across the fields. Amy has faced loss, fear, and change before. But this is different. This is the past walking straight toward her future, demanding answers she isn't ready to give. Inside the house, the rest of the family continues to feel the tension without understanding its source. Lou watches Amy from a window, noticing the way she keeps rubbing her hands together, a habit she only has when she's overwhelmed. Lou wants to go to her, wants to offer comfort, but the letter hidden in her drawer holds her back. The guilt she carries keeps whispering that she has no right to guide anyone else through pain when she hasn't confronted her own. She tells herself she will talk to Amy soon, but her heart knows that soon keeps slipping further away. Jack steps onto the porch, standing beside Amy without saying a word. It's his presence that keeps her from unraveling completely. She closes her eyes for a moment, letting the calm she only feels around him settle her shaking emotions. Jack waits patiently, sensing the depth of her fear. He has seen Amy strong, brave, and determined through the darkest moments of her life. But this version of her, quiet, uncertain, afraid to look him in the eyes, tells him everything he needs to know. Whoever is coming isn't just a visitor. They are someone who once held a piece of her heart, Tim marches out of the barn, frustration still burning in his voice as he calls out for answers he feels entitled to. But the moment he sees Amy's face, he stops. Her expression tells him more than words ever could. The storm inside her is too real, too raw, and even he knows this isn't the moment to demand explanations. For once, Tim's anger fades, replaced by a rare flicker of concern he struggles to put into words. Amy finally forces herself to speak, though her voice is fragile. She admits that she received a message last night, one she didn't want to talk about until she was sure it mattered. Now that certainty is undeniable. Lou steps closer, waiting, holding her breath. Jack's hand rests lightly on Amy's shoulder, steady and warm. Tim remains silent, an unusual tension gripping him. The family stands still, as if preparing for something that will change their understanding of everything. Amy takes a deep breath as the moment settles over her. She explains that someone from her past, someone she never expected to hear from again, has reached out. The room around them seems to freeze. The weight of her confession lands heavily, not because they know who it is, but because they can feel the impact it has on her. Jack gently asks what this person wants, but Amy looks away, unable to form the words. The truth is simple yet crushing. Closure. But closure often demands reopening wounds that still bleed. Before she can reveal more, a sudden knock echoes across the ranch. It's sharp, loud, and final. Every heart inside Heartland seems to stop for a moment. Amy's breath catches in her throat as her body goes still. She knew this moment was coming, but not this fast, not this painfully. The knock repeats, slower this time, as if insisting on being heard. No one moves. Lou's hand trembles at her side. Jack feels the shift in the air deepen. Tim stiffens, instinctively ready to confront whoever stands outside the door. Amy closes her eyes, wishing she could delay time, even for a second, but reality doesn't wait. Finally, with her heart pounding harder than it has in years, Amy steps forward. Each movement feels like walking toward a cliff edge. She reaches for the door, her fingers shaking, her mind racing with memories she tried so hard to forget. When she finally opens it, the ranch falls into a silence so heavy it feels alive. And standing on the other side is the face she feared, the face she hoped she'd never have to confront again. The past has arrived at Heartland, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will be the same after this moment. The air around Heartland feels heavier than ever, as if the land itself is holding its breath, waiting for the final storm to break. Amy stands at the center of this emotional whirlwind, torn between the memory of what she lost and the fear of what she might lose again. With the truth about Ty's past finally revealed and the family divided in unexpected ways, Episode 10 pushes her to confront everything she has been avoiding. But the hardest part isn't the truth. It's what the truth forces her to admit, that she is still holding on to a part of herself she never allowed to heal. And now, with the ranch depending on her, she can't afford to fall apart. Lou feels that pressure too. For the first time in a long while, she questions her decisions and the cost of trying to keep everyone together. She tries to be strong, tries to stand firm as the leader of the family, but inside, she is tired. Tired of pretending everything is fine, tired of carrying burdens that were never meant to be hers alone. When she finally lets her guard down, even for a moment, she realizes something simple but powerful. The family is slipping, not because of what happened, but because no one is willing to admit how much they are hurting. Episode 10 forces Lou to see this truth clearly, and it terrifies her, because fixing the ranch means facing the pain they've all avoided for years. Meanwhile, Katie finds herself standing in the middle of a growing silence between the adults. She watches them from the sidelines, unsure how to help, yet unable to ignore the tension. Her heart aches for Amy, for Lou, even for Jack, who tries to hide his worry behind quiet strength. Katie knows something big is coming, something that might change their future in a way none of them expect. And for the first time, she feels old enough to understand what that kind of change really means. She feels the weight of it settling on her chest, making it hard to breathe. She can sense the breaking point approaching, and the fear of what comes next shakes her more than she wants to admit. Jack, however, sees everything with the eyes of someone who has lived through too many storms to count. He knows the signs. He knows when a family is bracing for impact, even if they try to hide it. Episode 10 places him in a difficult position, caught between protecting the people he loves and allowing them to face their own battles. And that choice is tearing at him from the inside. He wants to shield Amy from the emotional shock she's heading toward, but he also knows this moment is necessary. It's the only way she will finally free herself from the shadows of her past. And as much as it hurts him, Jack prepares himself for what's coming, but nothing prepares them for the unexpected message that arrives at the ranch, one that shifts the ground beneath everyone's feet. It carries answers they never asked for, and a truth they were not ready to face. Suddenly, the tension, the fear, the emotional distance, it all becomes painfully clear. This message forces the family to confront reality head-on, leaving no room for escape. And when Amy reads it, her world stands still. Everything she believed, everything she hoped, everything she feared, it all comes crashing together in a single moment. And Heartland is left on the edge of a decision that could change everything forever. The quiet after the storm is almost louder than the storm itself. Heartland feels frozen in time as Amy stands with the message in her hands, her heart beating in a slow, painful rhythm. Everything around her, every sound, every breath, every familiar detail of the ranch, feels different now. Episode 10 turns this moment into the emotional center of the entire season, a moment where truth becomes impossible to ignore. Amy realizes that this message doesn't just bring answers. It forces her to face a feeling she has tried to bury for years, a feeling that still lives deep inside her, reshaping everything she thought she had moved past. And now, she must confront it, even if it breaks her open all over again. Lou steps toward her, sensing the weight of what Amy is holding inside. Her voice is steady, but her eyes reveal her fear. Fear of losing the family's fragile balance, fear of seeing Amy collapse under the truth, fear of facing her own mistakes. Lou wants to fix it, to offer a solution like she always does, but this time she knows she can't. Some emotions can't be patched together. Some wounds don't heal on command. And as much as she tries to stay strong, this moment shakes her to the core. She watches Amy carefully, waiting for her to speak, knowing that whatever Amy says next will change the entire direction of the ranch. Jack, standing a few steps behind them, feels something shift inside him too. He has carried his share of grief, of love, of losses that never fully disappear. And seeing Amy tremble reminds him of all the storms he once survived by holding on to the people he loved. He wants to reach out, wants to tell her that she's stronger than she knows, but he stays quiet. Because this is her turning point, her battle, her moment to reclaim the parts of herself that life tried to take away. Episode 10 turns Jack into the silent anchor of the ranch, the quiet strength that keeps everyone from falling apart. Katie, overwhelmed by the tension in the air, watches from the porch. She feels emotions she can't name. Fear, sadness, confusion, hope. She doesn't understand every detail, but she understands the feeling of something big shifting around her. She knows this moment will stay with her forever, shaping the way she sees family, love, and loss. The emotional weight around her is almost suffocating, yet she can't look away. Because for the first time, she sees the adults not as unbreakable figures, but as people fighting to keep themselves together. And then Amy finally speaks. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with a quiet strength that sends a ripple through the ranch. Her words are simple, but they carry years of pain, growth, and truth within them. She admits what she's feared the most. She faces the reality she has avoided. And in that single confession, the emotional walls around Heartland begin to crack. Not in a way that destroys, but in a way that lets the light back in. Episode 10 closes with this fragile spark of hope, a reminder that healing is messy, painful, and sometimes terrifying, but it is also the only way forward. The episode ends not with answers, but with a new beginning. A beginning that challenges Amy, pushes Lou, softens Jack, and awakens something powerful in Katie. Heartland stands on the edge of change once again, but this time, they're not running from it. They're stepping toward it, together. And as the final moment fades, one thing becomes clear. The emotional ending of episode 10 is not just a conclusion. It's a promise that the next chapter will be even more transformative, even more heartfelt, and even more unforgettable. And as we reach the end of this breakdown, one thing becomes clear. Heartland Season 19, Episode 10 is not just another chapter in the series. It is an emotional turning point, a moment that changes the direction of every character connected to the ranch. This episode reminds us that healing is not a straight path, and sometimes the truth arrives when we least expect it, forcing us to face the memories we tried to leave behind. Amy's emotional struggle, Lou's silent battles, Jack's quiet strength, and Katie's growing understanding all come together to create an ending that stays with you long after the screen fades to black. This is the kind of storytelling that makes Heartland special, slow, deep, and filled with the kind of emotion that touches your heart before you even realize it. Episode 10 leaves us thinking, feeling, and wondering what comes next. It shows that even the strongest families can break, but they can also come back together with even more love and understanding. Every choice, every tear, and every moment of violence in this episode builds toward a future that is both uncertain and full of hope. And that is why fans can't stop talking about what this finale means for the rest of the season. As we move forward, one thing is certain: Heartland is preparing us for something bigger, something emotional, something unforgettable. Episode 10 leaves us right on the edge, waiting for answers, waiting for the next journey, waiting to see how the characters rise from everything they've faced. And that suspense is what keeps Heartland alive after 19 seasons. Its ability to pull us into the hearts of the characters and make us feel every moment as if we're standing right there